am gonna go with this lighting. It is what it is. I know it's been some time since my last video. I haven't been in the groove where I'm like, excited, shooting, what. So I just tried Gucci today. Let me just do something, man. You know when Rebecca Malupe asks,
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's just put it straight.
Okay.
What else can you do?
so I thought, let me just do what else I can do today and shoot this video for you guys. I had asked some people on my Instagram page if they've got any questions, so I think I should answer those questions today instead of doing one solid video about one thing. I think from next week, what I will try to do is do each country that I've been to and then just give you a lay of the land and what I experienced and how I got there and all of the costs that were involved going forward. So yeah, we shall take it from there. So the first question is from Keke, and she asked, let me read it so I'm saying the right thing. She said, what is your state of mind, solo traveler, the planning phase and while traveling? I generally have picked places where there aren't many safety concerns. I think from a safety aspect, the most important thing for you to prepare for is one, knowing exactly how you're going to get around when you are at the said country. For me, I generally choose places that are very close to train stations so that I know that I can get around very easily, and I kind of plan my routes according to the trains or the whatever it is mode of transport that's in that country. I download apps. I'll show you an app like for the Paris Metro that you can get where you can see exactly where you need to go. Also, Google Maps helps you. When you choose the train option, it tells you exactly where you need to get off, how many stops. And it's not easy to get lost because the instructions are right there. It tells you how many stations, how many stops, which station, what's the name of the station. In the train, you can see that, okay, now I'm at such and such a place, etc., and how to walk, how long to walk, etc. So I think having one is staying near a train station so you can get around very easily is important. Two, having apps or using Google Maps to show you where to go. And if you don't have a local SIM card, for instance, you can, while you're in a Wi-Fi area at the hotel, screenshot your route, and so you have it on you wherever you go, just as a picture. So that's from a safety getting around while you're there point of view. And two, I think planning your activities before you leave, so you know that on this day, let's say you're in Paris, you want to go to Disney World, so you check how do you get to Disney World from where you're staying. You want to go to Versailles, this is what you should do, this is how much it costs, etc., so that when you are already in the country, you're not scrambling around trying to find how do I get to Versailles. You already know that there's a train, it leaves every 3 hours from this terminal and it gets off at this terminal, and this is how long it takes, and it costs 17 euros, etc. It doesn't cost 17 euros, but it's just an example. So I think it's about planning all of the things that you want to do, and obviously you are going to leave a little space for spontaneous things that you want to do, especially if you've got friends there, etc. But it's definitely about knowing all of the things that you want to hit off your list in the certain area. So I hope that this answers your question. I know I'm not very cautious when it comes to being worried about what will happen when I get to a place, because I'm always so excited about traveling and going somewhere. I never have to psych myself up. Oh, I'm going to London. Oh, what should I do? No, I always just like, yes, let's go. Research all the things that you can find about it, and then you go to the place and you enjoy yourself. So I hope that kind of answers your question, but the main point is planning, and knowing exactly where you have to go, especially if you're in a country that doesn't speak English. You have to be prepared before, because how am I going to explain, I'm going to the theme park? help me, excuse me. No, babes, just know where the fuck the theme park is so you can show people this is what it's called, which train should I take, which platform, and you can go and do what you need to do. Second question is from my neighbor, actually, Kagiso, and she says, what are your bank saving hacks? So let me tell you about what I have done so far, and it might be a little bit of a simplistic answer, but hey, it is what it is. I used to bank with FNB, and I found that the charges were super expensive, not just when it came to when I traveled, but just in general for me. I felt like I'm being charged for every single thing, every swipe, every single transaction. So I moved banks, and I moved to a cheaper bank. I moved to Capitec, and all of my swipes were free, and they only charged me, I think it's R7.50 per withdrawal, right? Meaning I could withdraw however much and I'll only get charged in South African rand, R7.50, which is nothing. So I found that was much better. When I was at other banks, I used to get charged per swipe, per withdrawal. They had an exchange rate fee that they charged me, which is super difficult. I mean, when you're abroad and you are withdrawing money, each of the different banks that you go to have a different set rate for rands, right? So it means that the cost fluctuates. At some banks it's more expensive. I don't know the bank, so I'm not going to look for, oh no, let me look for the specific one. Maybe I'm in a random area and I just need cash. So I really felt like that wasn't fair, that you're subject to all of those changes. So I went out of my way to swipe because it's for free on the bank that I bank with, and two, to do one big withdrawal and keep the money for as long as I could, so that I don't incur those withdrawal charges. I'm sure in some places it's great to change your money before you go. Like I know in Thailand we got a pretty good exchange rate when we had our stacks of money before we left. So you kind of have to play it by ear and see where you're going, what are the rates, because if you're going for the euro or the dollar, it might be worthwhile for you to draw money here. But I just don't, I personally wouldn't do it. I would just draw when I'm that side. When I arrive, one big draw, and then swipe, because my bank doesn't charge me for the swipes, which is, I think, is very good. And then she had a second question where she asked about money saving hacks. How to spend less. Okay, yeah. How to spend less overseas, like your European countries, if you are from South Africa. As you know, our rand is at, oh my god, to both the euro and the rand. Let's say you're staying at a hotel, right? And the hotel has breakfast included. Get breakfast where you're staying, and then that's obviously going to sustain you for the day. And then you get your backpack or whatever, or your handbag. I'm more of a backpack girl, so that's why I say that. In my backpack, I pack maybe like a pastry and some fruit or whatever, and then I hit the road and do whatever I need to do for the day, right? And then maybe on the streets, if you do get nibbly, you can just grab that instead of having a massive lunch or whatever. And then only buying dinner at takeout places, because it can sometimes be a little bit cheaper. What I found is that I also buy my own food. Well, it depends where I'm staying, but I mostly buy my own food from like the supermarket or whatever, and then I eat it throughout the course of the day instead of trying to go out every single time. And then I save for like a big beautiful dinner, maybe once every 2-3 days. I'll go to somewhere really, really nice and spoil myself, because during the day or the past couple of days I've been buying my own food. You'll get maybe a salad. It's like €2, like a really massive salad that can fill you up for the day, and then you don't really need to eat that much. I also find that when you're traveling and you're doing all of this walking around activities and sightseeing, you don't really eat a lot. I think that buying your own food is super cost effective at like the local Pick n Pays. And then you only go out when you really need to, or save, like if you want to go partying at a bar or a club or whatever. The alcohol can be quite expensive because you order like a glass of wine and it's like $5, which it adds up. I'm not gonna only go out and have one glass of wine, you know what I mean? So I think you can definitely save from the food portion. And like I've said before, public transport. The whole Uber scenario, I really don't think is worth it, because you don't know where you're going and how much it's going to cost you, and these Ubers add up when you can just buy a Metro card and use it for the whole week instead of paying each time that you have to go somewhere. What else? It was the transport and also, if you're on a place that does a lot of Uber, there's an option that's called Uber Pool, which we don't have much in South Africa. I don't know why, we definitely should, but anyway, where you kind of pool together with people in the same car, and then you spend a little bit less. It will take you much longer to get to where you're going, but just give yourself some time allowance, and then it will be much easier to get around. So that's what I think. And then obviously, like I said in my previous video, I think I definitely rate hostels more than hotels. So even at hostels, guys, there is an option where you can get a private room, and this sometimes can be cheaper than staying in a full-blown hotel, or maybe look for 2-ish star-ish hotels. I don't know. Also look at Airbnb and see if you can get something that is decent but at a really reasonable price. I will tell you, be careful of Airbnbs, because you definitely have to double check if the area is safe, what have people said about the place, and read your reviews, guys, because that's the only way that you can tell from personal experience from other people. So that is my little tips on how you can save a little bit of money. Our next question is from Blue. Hey Blue. Blue's also my fellow traveling wild soul. So Blue asked, do you pack a lot of stuff, or do you leave room to purchase that side? This is her biggest fail. So Blue, listen, I always do carry on. It doesn't matter if I'm leaving for 3 weeks, I'll figure it out on how to pack light and how to not bring a million bazillion things. I never want to check in a bag. I'll tell you why. The reason is because when I first started traveling to Europe, well, the first time I traveled for a really long time, I think I was in Europe for a month. And I had this massive bag that was as big as I am, and I tried to drag it around on these cobble streets and all of those things, and it completely doesn't work. You know very well that Europe is not like here, where you get into a car everywhere you go. You have to get onto multiple trains and things like that, and it's just not feasible to have a bag. Also, if you're traveling between countries, if you're taking like a quick Ryanair flight from Sweden to France, for instance, you pay if you check in a bag. Imagine that my price to go from one country to the other is 50 euros. If I have to bring a bag, that's another 30 euros, and then you also have to pay for your seat. It just becomes a mission, especially if you're trying to travel on the cheap. Carry-on bag is the best way to go. So I always pack super light, but what I do is that I carry a smaller bag and put it into my carry-on bag. So in case I buy stuff or I need extra space, then I've got 2 bags, but both of those bags are kind of carry-on-ish, you know, like a tog bag and a duffel bag, for instance. I'll put my duffel bag in my tog bag. They're kind of the same thing, but I make sure that I don't have to check in any bag. I'll show you my favorite bag that I have that I use when I pack into my carry-on, I use that. And if I buy stuff, then I've got 2 carry-ons, because you're allowed one kind of personal bag and then you can call the other one a carry-on. Hold on. So this is my trusty, wonderful Longchamp bag that I always pack into my suitcase, and it folds and it becomes a bigger bag, right? So this is great as an overnight bag, for instance. However, if I was rich on the trip and I bought extra stuff, it also extends into an even much bigger bag. So I think you should always try and look for stuff like this that will help you with those kinds of issues. So you can definitely pack 2 weeks worth of stuff in a bag this size. So that's what I take with me in my other bag, in order for me to get space to put in more stuff if I need to. I rarely shop. I'm not really a shopper, but I do know that sometimes things happen and you need more space, so I take that bag. Or if you are, let's say for instance, I'm in Paris and I'm going to Brussels. Please don't go to Brussels. No one needs to go to Brussels. For the weekend, you don't need to take your big bag that you packed. You can just take this bag and kind of pack a little bit of clothes in that you need for the weekend and come back, instead of having to take everything of yours with you. So I hope that helps, Blue. But the point was to pack light, pack a carry-on, and pack a bag in a bag. So you got 2 bags. The finalish question: what have my experiences been traveling to other African countries? I will give you a short synopsis on some of the places that I've been that I found to be super amazing. 1, Ghana. So Ghana, I wish I'd had more time. I only stayed in Accra. I didn't go to Jamestown and all of those other historic and wonderful places. I found Ghana was super clean. I didn't see one piece of paper on the ground. And if you do drop a piece of paper, someone will tap you and be like, your paper, babes, did you make a mistake or whatever? It was super clean. The men are so hot. And there's just such a nice cosmopolitan vibe. There's lots of Americans that are there when you go out partying, which was obviously strange for me being from South Africa, but for there it's normal. Lots of young people, entrepreneurs. There's just a super cool melting pot of vibe, man. Just a delicious vibe in Ghana, and I hope that I can go back. I was so sad that I couldn't go at the end of last year, but it is what it is. Try and look for Airbnbs when you are in Africa, but do an Airbnb where you can stay with someone who's from there. So don't get the entire place to yourself. Get a bedroom in someone's place, because they can advise you on where to go and how to get around, etc. Also, why you should go that route is because hotels in Africa are expensive, because they charge you either US dollar, or sometimes Francophone countries, they charge you by the euro, which is not great for us as South Africans. Our currency. So try to stay at an Airbnb where you can stay with someone local. Kenya, always found that the people are super friendly. I also feel like I wish to spend more time. There's so much to see in Kenya. It's got like the best of both worlds. It's got stunning beaches, Mombasa, Lamu, all of those beautiful places that I was super steeped in. A history that doesn't really get told about Africa, about thriving empires. Zanzibar was also amazing. Super Muslim country. Super kind people, amazing food, beautiful beaches. I find that Africans in general are very, very kind and polite. I haven't been to a country where the people were rude or mean or anything like that. And it's been super tough for me to be in some countries and people ask me, why are South Africans so xenophobic? What did we do to them? Babe, I don't know. I'm also embarrassed. Please don't ask me this question. I can't answer for morons. So, anyway, so I feel like any African country that you go to, you'll never regret it. You will never ever regret it. It's always so beautiful. The people are great. The food is great. Yeah. So I hope that answers your questions. This video wasn't too intense. It was just about chatting through some of the answers for the people that have asked questions. And I hope that everyone is good and not going crazy during this corona. I definitely have been struggling just with energy, which I think is a full moon. Also PMS, also cabin fever, also just feeling unpretty, you know. Can't go do my eyebrows, my unibrow is to the max, can't go do my hair, like, but even still, we are grateful. We've got food, we've got internet, we've got each other, and we're safe, and we've got our health. So I hope you guys are okay wherever you are. Big love. So I have a why, Lord Jesus Christ, do something. Come on. Okay. You know, guys, I haven't been able to figure out how I need to put the camera so that my head doesn't look so tiny and my body is like massive, but it's fine. I'll figure it out. It's not about aesthetics. This is about information.